Hi, and welcome to Remember This. I have a very special guest with me. This is my gold guy. This is Jim Carrillo from Swiss America, and he so graciously offered to come on the show and tell us a little bit about what's going on with silver and gold. So, Jim, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing really good. Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about your background with Swiss America?
Been in the financial industry for about 40 years. Everything from stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, silver, and actually the high-tech industry as well. So I've got a long experience in investing in different types of areas and fields. So I'm in gold and silver now because I feel like it's the only thing that's worth it. Everything else now is debt laden, and we've gone to a credit society basically since the 70s, and we've run ourselves into debt up to our eyeballs. So that's why I'm in gold and silver. Got back into the industry after 9/11 because I saw the money that they were printing back after 9/11. They started pumping massive amounts of money in to try to get everything going again. Right. And debt was going through the ceiling. So that's why I got back in the industry.
Yeah. And for those that aren't too familiar with purchasing silver and gold, right now it's a very hot commodity. I mean, people are going crazy buying it now, right?
Yeah, as it should be. I mean, I've been so busy I can't even keep up with it. But yeah, anytime you have debt just being printed out of thin air, and it dilutes the value of our dollar. Yeah. So dollar goes down, gold goes up. That's how it works. And it's a currency in and of itself. It used to be the currency that we used in this country to back all of our currency. Remember, gold certificates, and prior to that, it was gold and silver.
Right.
And now we just add zeros to balance sheets and dilute people's buying power and wealth. And there's no yield in the banks or in the bond market or in anything. So that's why pensions are in trouble, Social Security's in trouble, and there's a lot of big things coming down right now, and I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to the fact that this is pretty much unsustainable. It doesn't matter which side of politics you're on, it's still printing of money, and it's the Federal Reserve that's just pumping too much money into the system. I mean, our national debt is pushing 30 trillion. When it hit $1 trillion, people were outraged. So that's
of course
the main reason.
Yeah. Well, and there are talks of us going back to the gold-backed dollar, right?
Yeah. Well, Trump is a proponent of the gold standard. He said it openly before elected. Now he's putting in a Fed chair that actually is a proponent of the gold standard herself. The problem with that is, if in order to go back to a gold standard, people like Jim Rickards, who's very well known, has books out on the subject, said the price of gold would have to be priced somewhere between $12,000 to $15,000 just to back the currency because of all the money we've printed since we went off the gold standard, when Nixon took us off the gold standard. Right. So I don't know that there's enough gold to really do it.
Yeah. Well, from what I hear, there's a lot of gold. There's a lot of gold. Trump's got a lot of gold stored up for us. So I think we're in good hands as far as that goes. So now personally, as far as us personally purchasing gold, I remember back in the 80s seeing Pat Boone commercials for Swiss America.
Yeah.
Talking about buying gold, and I was a lot younger, and I would always say, yeah, when I get some money, I should do that. I should buy some gold. But decades went by and nothing happened. But then as we get older and wiser, and then we realize, you know what, we really need to take this seriously. This is a good commodity to have. This is something we should invest in.
Well, everybody, it's like a savings account. People save money. There's no yield in the banks right now. So that's another reason the banks are weak. They're extremely weak, and that concerns me in and of itself. We wrote a book called Don't Bank on It that I'll be happy to send anybody that's listening a free copy so they can read up on it. But in the Dodd-Frank Act, they rewrote the laws to where you're technically an investor in the bank, not a depositor in the bank anymore. So if we have another financial crisis, the bank, Washington Mutual, it brought the FDIC within 1% of insolvency. That's one of the reasons that they had to do the bank bailouts back in 2008, 2009. It rippled through the entire financial market. It basically almost took the entire financial market down, including all annuities. Annuities, AIG still is a shell of itself. If you look at their stock price, it's about 10% of where it was. So we're not in any position to handle another financial crisis if the banks get hit. And look at today's world. Today's world, we've got nobody going to baseball games, nobody going to football games, nobody going to basketball games, no concerts, nothing going on Broadway, people leaving the cities. So people own that real estate there. And if there's nobody coming into the high rent districts, how are the restaurants going to survive? How are the shops going to survive? And this is not just in New York, but it's in Dallas, it's in Los Angeles, Seattle, it's in all of the major cities. So you're on the verge of another financial crisis in real estate, starting with commercial real estate. And then eventually, those people all own properties. So they're going to have problems with mortgages, people that aren't going to have jobs because there's not any jobs in those markets. And it's a quagmire for the banks and a real problem for people. And that's why they should all own some gold and silver. I look at it like the foundation to my house. It's always going to be there no matter what happens. We could have anything can happen. Your house can burn down, your house can get blown away, washed away, whatever the case may be. But the foundation
will still remain intact.
And that's how people, I think, should look at gold and silver. I always tell people, 10%, even if you think things are wonderful in the world, if you think everything in the world's going to be absolutely beautiful, put 10% of your assets in something like gold. In a world like this, I tell people up to 25% of their assets, and a lot of people, including myself, are further because I just don't trust all the debt that we have in this country.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. Okay, so to someone who's never purchased gold or silver before, what would be their first step?
You could call and just ask questions. We're an education firm, so we provide educational materials for free that you can read and see why. There's not a point in history where it hasn't been really a good investment unless you're buying into a panic, and there's not a panic yet, but there will be. Fewer than like 2% of Americans own gold. You go into countries like India or China or Russia, a lot of their citizens are heavily invested in gold because they've been robbed consistently by their governments, and many more countries than I just mentioned. So to start, you can put a percentage of your IRA, you can put a percentage of your 401k, you can put a percentage of cash that you have sitting in the bank that's earning nothing into a physical asset like gold and silver. You can open storage accounts. On the East Coast, we use Delaware Depository. If clients want to, store it, they don't want to have it in their home. And then obviously we deliver everything to people's homes, certified, registered, and fully insured, unmarked, and have for over 40 years.
Okay, and so once you own the gold and you can get coins, or depending on how much you get, they do come in bars, right?
Coins, bars, form you want.
Say you need to liquidate it. How hard is that?
Actually, probably the easiest asset in the world to liquidate. It's liquid immediately. And in times of crisis, it is liquid more so than any other asset in the world, practically, other than cash, obviously. But cash, we don't know where the value of cash is going. So yeah, you just contact us. It comes back to us exact same way we send it to you. And we can send you out funds immediately. We cut checks every Tuesday and Thursday. It's far more liquid than stocks. Stocks take 3 to 5 days to clear. We're clear immediately. As soon as we have it in our hands, it's liquid. going back to what I was just saying as far as liquidity, if you think about times of crisis, you can buy things pretty cheap during crisis because people are trying to get liquid and trying to get their hands on something that, and get out from under debt. Real estate's not liquid, in crisis. I look at gold and silver similar to real estate, except it's the opposite. When things are good, real estate's great to have. When things are bad, you need liquidity, you can't get out from under it.
That's a very good point.
And we give our clients online access. So if they want to log on with a username and a password on SwissAmerica.com, they can log on there and it says your portfolio. You can click on just like a bank account. Even though you physically have it in your hands, you can log on and look at what you paid for it and what it's liquid to you for immediately.
Oh, that's great. Now, one question that people have, what's the difference between the bullion gold and non-bullion?
It's a preference, it doesn't matter what people own. The difference is primarily that gold bullion is a reportable asset. Some people just don't want the government in their business.
Right.
Coins, they're non-reportable assets, there's on the purchase or the sale. So that's the primary difference. Also on bullion, if you look at history, when we did go on a gold standard in 1933, they demanded that people turn their bullion in.
Right.
So if you're in bullion, there's a potential for that to happen. That law is still on the books too, and a lot of people don't know it. So if you own gold bullion and you're concerned with that, you might want to move it into something that's non-reportable and non-confiscatable,
Right.
By the current law.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And I think back to our childhood, I think they were ingraining it in us to get the silver and gold. If you remember Rudolph, forget the character on Rudolph that was searching for the silver and gold. Yukon Cornelius, that's him.
Yeah, it was all over the place. Bugs Bunny too,
So they were probably trying to tell us something back then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you look at it, I'll just give brief history. 100 years ago, if you had $100,000, you were very wealthy. You could have bought 16 luxury homes in this country cash outright with $100,000 just 100 years ago.
Wow.
So if your great grandfather left you a safe and you found it today, and you opened it and there was $100,000 in that safe left to you. Well, like I said, he was a very wealthy man. Simultaneously, in that same safe, there was $100,000 worth of gold. That $100,000 worth of gold today is worth $16.8 million. So it'll still buy you 16 luxury homes in this country for cash. Not the old luxury homes, but that's why people think it's still got a lot more room to the upside. Let's shorten that up. Let's go to when Nixon took us off the gold standard 40 years ago. $100,000 worth of cash would have bought you a couple of nice homes in this country, cash outright, just in 1974. Today, it's a down payment at best. $100,000 worth of gold from that same time, 1974, today is worth about $7.2 million.
Wow.
One more step, and in 2001, after 9/11, $100,000 worth of cash has basically the equivalent buying power today of about $48,000. It's lost about 52% of its buying power. Cost of living increases, food, energy, prescriptions, medical, everything has gone up tremendously just since 2001. $100,000 worth of gold from 2001, just 20 years ago, is worth over $500,000 today.
Wow.
So you just look at time over 100 years, 40 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
Good asset to hold.
The value of the dollar is dropping and the value of the gold and silver are just going up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you see it going up a lot more anytime soon?
Well, one of the things that I've been talking to clients about is one thing that struck me as very peculiar. Bank of America put out a letter to its shareholders not too long ago, stating that gold was going to go to $3,000 to $5,000 an ounce, possibly as soon as the next 18 months. Why that strikes me as peculiar is Bank of America doesn't sell gold. In fact, banks generally, as a rule, try to steer their clients away from gold. Why?
Yeah.
Because they need deposits to lend. You know, if people are taking their money out of the bank and buying an asset like gold, they're taking money out of their bank. So what's the purpose of a bank telling you to go out and buy gold? That's basically what they said. Go buy gold.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot more. And so I don't know if they're just trying to save face, or they're just saying, get your money out of my bank. It's definitely peculiar. Goldman Sachs
Knows something that we don't. So, right?
Yeah, Goldman Sachs said the same thing: $3,000 to $5,000.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So that's where we are, and
Yeah.
it's just a thing. Silver prices too. Like I said, I encourage anybody to get up and do some homework and some research, and they can call me anytime if they want, direct at my office.
Now,
And
can you give out your number and your extension? And I'll put it at the bottom of the screen too.
yeah, it's 800-289-2646, and my extension directly is 1066.
Jim, you are the best. My viewers know you as my gold guy, and they kept asking, when are we going to see the video? When is the interview? So they're going to be ecstatic about this. Before we conclude, I have a question about Bitcoins, because I don't know anything about Bitcoins, and I hear everybody's talking about it. Do you know much about the Bitcoins?
Yeah, I've done a lot of research on Bitcoin. I'm not sure I entirely trust it. First of all, you don't have anything tangible in your hands. It's on a computer that can be hacked, and they have been hacked before. There's been several of the what do they call them? I can't think of the name of it right now, but they've lost money and gone poof. But I did a lot of research. Matter of fact, your readers, or your listeners, can do the same thing. If you go on to just Google MIT.edu, how to make a mint. It's a document from 1996 that absolutely details in complete detail Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. And it's from Washington, D.C., and it's through the, I'm trying to think of the name of the branch of the government that put that out. It's not coming to me right this second.
Bitcoin's been out a long time.
No, this how to make a mint, and they basically described exactly. Now, I can send anybody that wants that report.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I think that's peculiar because, since when has it been okay for somebody to compete with the government currency? When? Came out with Deborah's currency, how long do you think you'd be in business? Your front door and hauling you off to jail. But all of a sudden, this currency comes out and they're okay with it. There's something peculiar about that too, because it doesn't make sense that they have a competing currency unless they're the ones behind it. And they're trying to get us away from currency, and they're trying to get us onto cryptocurrencies, and they're testing it possibly on us, make it a get rich quick scheme. Everybody in the world will get in on it. And, that's what they've done so far. And then when it started, they find the holes. It's almost like a beta test. So when they found the holes in the cryptocurrency, it hushed up for a long time. And then it comes back out and they've got new ones and different things. So it's interesting, but I would encourage people to read that because that was out long before the cryptocurrency.
Now, what was the name of that?
It's called How to Make a Mint.
How to Make a Mint.
MIT.edu.
Okay,
and
I have to look that up.
Yeah, it's on the MIT servers. So I don't know that I trust it.
Yeah, I just recently heard about it. I see other people advertising for it, and
sure.
I know I didn't hear about it growing up, so I knew it was something that was fairly new. I just didn't know when it made its appearance.
Well, I don't know how you feel about having your money on a computer, and that's how you derive it and spend it and everything. You know, there's potential problems with computers and hacking, and
Right. I
I
think I'd
can
rather have my money on me.
absolutely want to have a tangible asset. You
That's right.
know, if he wants to put a little bit in there to just try it, see how it works. I don't see a problem with that, but I sure wouldn't put my savings into it.
Yeah. And what about the stock market? Still a good bet or? You know,
That's, you know, there's some good stocks out there, you know, but again, we're in a debt laden world, and the thing that's propping it up isn't the people, it's the government. It's
right.
the Federal Reserve. They're pumping massive amounts of money in. And if you look at the stocks that are really carrying the stock market, it's primarily your tech stocks, which, you know, the stay at home stocks, which is understandable. Education, a lot of people staying at home. But the main drivers are companies like Amazon, Alphabet, Google, Netflix,
Right.
Facebook. Um, those are the main drivers. And if you look at those companies and you look at who's behind those companies, they're all democratically owned.
Yeah.
They don't like Trump.
Yeah.
And so, you know, where are we going to go if they pull the plug on their stocks right before the election? I could see them doing that. I
Good
don't know if
point.
I could see them selling off their stock, trying to make the stock market look as bad as they can right prior to the election.
Right. Yeah. That's something to think about if you have stock with them.
I'd be primarily in cash
You're
or gold
cautious. Yeah.
for at least the next few months and hope that everything comes out. But again, even with Trump as president, you know, here we are pumping trillions and trillions and trillions of money. We don't have that money. You know, we're having to buy our own debt.
I call it monopoly money.
It is.
It's paper. It's
Yeah.
paper. Well, Jim, thank you so much. I mean, this stuff is really informative. And I learned so much about purchasing gold and silver from you. So I know my viewers are really going to benefit from giving you a call.
Absolutely. And again, my phone number is 800-289-2646. And my direct extension is 1066. I'd be happy
No
to.
obligation, no obligation, right? If they
Oh,
want
no.
to call and just ask
They're-
questions, you're good with that.
Yeah. And we'll send educational material out just so they understand the ins and outs of it. It's basic. I mean, you know, you save money in a bank, you save money in gold. It's the same thing. It's just that right now with no yield in the bank, that's why gold's going to continue to run. I mean, we're on the verge of going negative interest rates. So they should do that. Look into it, find out why, and give me a call. And I'd be happy to even have a question and answer session with you and your viewers.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
If they have any questions, maybe I can come back on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I'll reach up in a few weeks, and we'll
All
do
right.
a live video with the
Very,
asking questions. That'll be awesome. Jim, thank you so much.
it was a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.
Pleasure is mine. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.